Now this brings us to Snoop going to the radio.
Yeah.
Now, Suge tells Reggie to take Snoop to the radio station.
Mm-hmm.
And Snoop gets on the radio with Angie Martinez and starts saying that, he's got no problems with Biggie, he got no problems with Bad Boy. I think he even says there was Homeboy.
Yeah.
He starts saying all these things.
Yes.
Were you around when Tupac heard this? I heard that Tupac was in the limo when he got the news about this, and he was just irate.
I wasn't in the limo when he heard about it, but I heard about it when he got to the hotel. He started telling us what happened. I think it hurt Pac because you gotta understand, if you don't want to, if you don't have a problem with Biggie and them, that's your problem. Pac ain't gonna say you gotta join my beef. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna go around and say, hey, you better join the beef with me. But because Snoop was back home doing diss tracks with Biggie, diss tracks with Puffy, and didn't get on the radio and say, no, I had no problem, I think that's why Pac was upset. You know what I mean? I think Pac was more mad because, like I said, you don't have to, diss Biggie or Puffy with Pac and join his beef if you don't want to. But because when we was in that studio, Snoop was actually doing songs dissing Biggie and dissing Puffy. So when Pac heard him on the radio say, no, I have no problem, Pac like, man, that's, you here dissing him with me. Now you saying, I think he was more hurt. You know what I mean? Just be honest with it. Why you playing, Pac felt like he probably was playing both sides of the fence.
He was on stage when Pac performed Hit 'Em Up at the House of Blues, and he looked like he was smiling and laughing about it.
Yeah, so I guess that's why it took Pac, where he was upset. And Snoop could have really, if he would have believed that, he didn't have to diss Biggie and Puffy with Pac. Pac can't force nobody to join his beef, you know what I mean?
Were you on the plane ride home?
No, they was on a private plane. I think they left separate than us.
Okay.
Yes.
You'd mentioned that Tupac was always getting a lot of death threats. Is there any particular that stick out to you?
Now that I think about it, he mentioned it a lot in raps. You know what I mean? When he first got shot, he got some funny calls to his house in Atlanta. And when he was shot, and even in Las Vegas, people was calling saying they're going to finish the hospital. You know what I mean? But now you think about it, could have been, kids back in the day, once they get your number, that's how they prank you. I'm going to kill you. You know what I mean?
Back then, we didn't have caller ID.
Back then, there's no caller ID. They just get your number and say, oh, yeah, I'm coming to do this and do that.
I seen somewhere that you said his music, he kind of adapted his music to what he was going through.
Yes, exactly. For me being around him, because a lot of people say, well, he's not the same Pac when he first came out. But you got to understand, people evolve, people grow. So when he first came out, of course, he was doing songs like Brenda's Got a Baby. And then all of a sudden, if you getting shot up, you're going to start adapting. His music was adapting to what he was going through in his life. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. It wasn't that he was trying to be something that he's not. You know what I mean? It's not like he told people, hey, shoot me so I can make raps about it. He was just rapping about what he was going through.
There's a lot of controversy that surrounds, Tupac, the death row era. What are some of the more positive type of times and, the good times that you guys had?
We had a lot of good times, and I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people don't focus on that. Even the incident in the park with Nas, I think that's very positive because they get to show rappers that you can put your ego to the side and you can shake hands like men. You don't always have to go to violence, you know what I mean? Pac and Nas actually showed us that. When we come from an environment, we didn't think that was possible. But we had, they used to go out, Suge, Pac, Snoop, all of them, man. They used to fill trucks up with chicken and food and give it to people, go to the ghettos, go to Watts, go to Compton and feed the people, you know what I mean? But with us and Pac, we used to just chill a lot, you know what I mean? Most of our time, Pac wasn't the type of person who was always in a nightclub. It was either studio or home. So all of our memories would be just in his house and clowning each other, joking and hiking on each other, you know what I mean? That's how we lived most of our time, spent most of our time.
I see somewhere that you guys went on a trip to Hawaii.
I didn't go with them, yeah, but him and the Outlaws, they went on, that's before I met them. They went to Hawaii one particular time, but we went to Mexico a few times with them. Went down to Mexico. Suge used to have a boat out there, so Fatal fell in the water and was drowned. Imagine we were somewhere, one of these oceans in Mexico on what is this, the jet skis, and it was pitch dark. And one of us turned was a good thing that Fatal know how to swim. You know what I mean? Because you can't see nothing in the ocean. And we fell in the water, and we like, Fado, where you at? And all of a sudden we just see somebody come up out of nowhere. You see water in the distance splashing. And we drive the jet skis, pick them up. It's crazy, bro. But these are good times, you know? Good positive times.
That's what's up, man. So this takes us to Vegas.
Yes.
You know, a very sad night for hip hop, and you know, more importantly for his friends and family. You know.
Yes.
You know, what is your version of events from that night?
I was me and Noble was at his house in Calabasas. I didn't go to Las Vegas with him. I stepped out the house and he called. When he first fought Orlando, as soon as he got on the elevator, for some reason he asked them to call me. He's like, man, call Moo and tell him I just knocked this dude out. I don't know why. Maybe because, you know, I was the outlaw that used to always talk about fighting and slap boxing coming from New Jersey. So he wanted to tell me he just fought some dude. He was in the elevator with Castro, Gaddafi, and Edie. When he called the house, Young Noble was like, Mutah's not here. When I called the house, Noble just told me, he said, Pac called for you. I said, what did he want? He said, no, he just got into a fight. He was laughing, told me to tell you he knocked some dude out. That was it. I didn't expect anything after that. Like, you know, just whatever happened, happened. I get back to the house. I remember Young Noble coming down to the gate because Pac had a gate that opened slow. But he came outside while the gate was open and he was like, man, Pac just got shot. So the first thing that hit me, like, wow, he got into a fight with somebody, now he got shot? Like, is it the same incident or was he, you know, what's going on? So we drove to Las Vegas, 3 hours, of course, from LA, put a bunch of guns in the car. When we got there, we seen Edie, Castro and them, and we went to the hotel and they started telling us what happened. And that's when they were just like, look, Pac, we were sitting in the car. Nobody knew it was Orlando at that time or his homies. Gaddafi was like, we were just in the back of the car and I just seen, you know, somebody look in our car. Gaddafi looked right in his face. And he said when the car pulled up to Pac, I just seen the arm come out the window and he just heard the shots, you know what I mean? And you know, when I got there, everybody was just sad, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, man, I remember when I first heard about it, you know, I went out, I was partying that night, and I came home, and I'd always like watch MTV, and, you know, I'm seeing like, you know, they'd have the little things at the bottom, and it's saying, you know, Tupac got shot, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, this is just a rerun. You know what I mean?
From the first time he got shot.
From the first time he got shot. And then I'm reading it, I'm like, wait a minute, in Las Vegas? Like, wait a minute here, he didn't get shot in Las Vegas. And I was just like, just surprised as hell, like that. And you know, the first thing I think most of the people thought like, oh, he been shot before.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, I thought the same thing until I seen him in the hospital, because his mother, you know, she's one of the, like, before I went into the hospital room, I think he had some surgery, so they said nobody can see him yet. We had to wait the next day, if I'm not mistaken. But his mother, because she's just a very positive person, she would always say, no, he's okay, my baby is fine, he's gonna, even though she knew it was bad, you know. So when you hear these words, I'm thinking he in the hospital awake and talking, but when I went in there, that's when he was like out, the wires down his throat. I knew right there was worse than what we expected, what we thought, what they was telling me. A couple days later, he passed away.
Man.
Yeah, so it was, man.
You guys were secure in his room?
We was like, Gobi was with us at that particular time because there was no, at that time people was calling the hospital. The crazy part, they put him on the first floor and his bed was literally behind the first floor, his window. Anybody could have just pulled up and just did whatever they want to do. And people actually was calling the hospital saying, we're gonna come finish him off. And you would get people driving all types of cars, rolling down their windows, looking tough and mean mugging. So we decided to just do security. Like, man, there's no security. You know, Gobi was with us, shout out to Gobi. So it'd be like 3 teams, like Gobi, for example, Edie and Castro. They would stay by his window just all night. And then at rest, they would go sleep. Another 3 would come and we'd just stay there all day, strapped up. And every time we see a car, we looking, because we don't really know what to expect. We don't know who shot him, you know what I mean? We didn't know where it was gonna come from, you know? But unfortunately, a couple days later, he passed away.